Erythromelalgia?
Melalgia.
Erythromelalgia. Are you sure?
Yes.
Right. Alright, this is a video for people who might have or have erythromelalgia. It's hard to say. It wasn't a word I knew existed until about 6 months ago. She might have it. We think she has it. For a long time, like over 10 years, right? Longer than that. You know, she doesn't remember the day it started, but it's been chronic, a daily thing ever since. And misdiagnosed as plantar fasciitis. But she really didn't know what it was and kind of like gave up on it. But talk about that.
So it's a burning sensation, a constant burning sensation. Standing hurts more than walking. I've tried plenty of different kinds of shoes, different kinds of inserts. I've gone to a foot doctor who assumed that it was plantar fasciitis. There are some similarities between plantar fasciitis and erythromelalgia, but he honestly kind of like just made a guess that it was plantar fasciitis. He didn't sound very sure. But I know that there was a time that I didn't have it, because well, I think it may have been around like 2009 or so, a little bit after that, because I used to work at a movie theater and I had to be on my feet all the time. They wouldn't let you sit even if you were in box office, and there wasn't anybody coming to buy tickets for a long time.
That is something that I did read that can cause plantar fasciitis, which is like standing in one place for too long, but we don't think that's it.
Yeah. So going up and down the stairs at the movie theater, stuff like that. I was probably also wearing the wrong kind of shoes. I was wearing a lot of Converse and skating shoes that were too big for me, most likely.
Well, describe it. Describe the pain. Like, what do your feet, both her feet, feel like?
So both my feet just feel like they're burning all the time. There's times when it's less than others. It's better to go barefoot than to have shoes on. It just feels very inflamed, and like if you've been walking or running or whatever for a long period of time and your feet start hurting, it's kind of similar to that, but mine will happen like within less than a minute. I can actually already feel the burning sensation as soon as I wake up in the morning. I haven't even taken a step. Now, one of the other things to differentiate between erythromelalgia and plantar fasciitis is that a lot of people with plantar fasciitis know that the most painful step in their day is the first step of the day. That's not the case for me. They do feel better after I've rested them for a while. My feet will still burn even if I'm just sitting and they're resting on the floor. Let's see. Of course, at the end of the day, my feet feel worse than at the start of the day, and they feel better with cold water, submerging them in cold water,
or even like putting a fan on them.
Yeah, I guess putting a fan on, and then like shopping for shoes is a nightmare. Every single shoe hurts my feet. It's just that some shoes hurt them more. So when I'm shopping for shoes, initially putting the shoe on feels good because the shoe is cold. I literally have to stay in a shoe that I'm trying out for like 30 minutes, probably at the very least, store and walk around with it to decide, are these going to be worse for my feet or are they going to be better? Because of course, once you take the shoes outside, you wear them outside, they won't let you return them. I've tried orthopedic shoes that have a guarantee on it that you can return, so at least it's nice that I can return them if they don't help me at all. But right now I just have a pair of Brooks from REI. They didn't hurt my feet more. They're pretty much like the same as the shoes that I had before, but I have yet to find any shoes that actually feel good. And I can't do like slippers or anything like that. Even in the winter, my feet just get way too hot. They feel better whenever I'm swimming as well. I don't really feel pain whenever I'm swimming.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the base? Like, what is the lowest it ever is?
Typically, I would say it's a 3.
Okay, so remember that number 3. I remember when we went swimming, and after a while, I asked her, is it helping? Is it below a 3? And I think you said it got down to like a 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you could like try to see what your base is. Just remember, what's your feet like when you lay down in cold weather without shoes on. If that's the lowest you can ever make it, try to go swimming. See if you can get that base even lower.
This is Keto, by the way. Well, his real name is Kismet, but we call him Keto sometimes.
Because keto, the diet, eating predominantly meat, avoiding sugar, sort of mildly helps. Does not cure it in her situation, might in yours, because of what erythromelalgia
Close.
is. We'll get into that at the end. Also at the end, you can fast forward if you want to see what her feet look like. At first glance, like to me, they just look normal. I think at some points I have seen them look just slightly blue tinted, but it's not obvious. Some people with this have very red feet, especially at the bottom, and it's really obvious. It's a spectrum, Some people have intense pain all the time. They just want to cut their feet off. Some people, it flares up and then it goes away, but then it flares up. Hers is just basically a constant state all the time, no less than 3. So let's talk about some of the more of the differences between plantar fasciitis and erythromelalgia. Melalgia. Okay. Talk about the arch in your foot. Do you have that?
I think I used to have a high arch, but now it's falling. So I think I've had my doctor tell me that I might be getting kind of flat foot.
So that wasn't the cause necessarily. She's getting this now, but she already had these symptoms before. So we can't say, well, it's not, you need arch support or something like that. I mean, maybe she does, but that would be a whole other issue, not the one that's causing all this pain necessarily. Plantar fasciitis is a different type of pain. And this is how I sort of figured out that it's not plantar fasciitis, and it's probably almost certainly erythromelalgia. Is the signature characteristic, the defining symptom of this disease is the burning of the feet, the burning of the skin, because you can get it in your hands, you can get it on your face. That's much more rare though than getting it on your feet. I think the rate's like 90% of people with it get it on their feet.
Yeah.
And so if your feet burn and if you put them in cold water or a fan on them that's cold and it helps alleviate, that probably means it's not plantar fasciitis, and it unfortunately probably means it is erythromelalgia.
Yes.
There we go. Getting
Got
better.
it
Getting
now.
better. We'll edit that out later.
Okay, so when I thought that I might have plantar fasciitis, when I saw that doctor, he was telling me some stretches and stuff that I need to do, and that would kind of involve, I can't really demonstrate because he's in my other hand, but that would involve, like, if this was your foot, you would, it's better with shoes on, you'd go up to a wall, put your toes kind of like up on the wall and stretch. just like press down, and you want to hold it for, I can't remember exactly how long, but it was like a minute or something like that. You can get like a tennis ball or a hard ball of some sort and roll your foot on it. They do also have like these little things that have like a little rolling pin on them, and you can just roll your foot on those. You can also get like a band, sit on the floor, get a band, wrap it around your foot, and then put your leg straight out on the floor and pull so that you're stretching that your foot again. They also prescribed to me a boot to sleep with, and it kind of looks like a cast of some sort that you would wear if your foot was broken or something, but so you'd have to wear that all through the night. That was absolutely painful to have to do when you first start it. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night and like trying to kick the dang thing off. But you would switch the boot from one foot to the next every other night. But I followed all of that for, I want to say 2 to 3 months, and it just didn't seem like it was doing anything for me, so I gave up. I don't know if that's long enough to really tell if it did anything. Now I probably skipped a couple days here and there because I'm terrible with routine, but I was trying to actually keep on it, but it just got to a point where I just felt like this is pointless. So
Yeah, so this is a theory I have. I'm not certain about this. I am not a doctor, neither of us are, so don't take our medical advice necessarily. I'm just gonna cover my butt here for legal reasons, but this is a theory I have. I'm gonna assume that most doctors are aware of plantar fasciitis. Like if they go to school, especially as a general practitioner, they know what that is. But erythromelalgia is really rare. There's not a lot of science going back very far. So especially if they got their degree a long time ago, they probably don't know what it is. In fact, the doctor that we're using now, she didn't know what it is either. She's probably only in her 40s.
yeah.
And a lot of the research that is being conducted on it, trying to figure it out, what it is, how to cure it, treat it, it's really recent. Since I discovered this 6 months ago, I know that there was another study that started back up in January of this year. It's May right now, so they're still in the process of figuring all this out. So my theory is that a lot of people that have erythromelalgia don't know that they do, and they get diagnosed with plantar fasciitis because it's just the thing that doctors are aware of. It's much more prevalent, much more common, and they end up possibly making their feet worse by treating it incorrectly. So we need to raise awareness to this, that it's not always plantar fasciitis. It could be erythromelalgia, and then once we do that, we're probably going to see an increase of people who have this. Because right now, I think what was the number, like 1 in 300,000 or some 100,000?
Yeah, it was an insane.
It's a really, really, really small percentage of people that have it. And I think there was a couple, I got different numbers, but there was like a couple places that were saying like there's only 27 people that have it in the world, and then I saw others said there's a couple hundred people that have it in the world. But that's just like official diagnosis, I would say. I think there's a lot of people that are misdiagnosed with it. So present this to your doctor, see what they think.
There was one treatment, like Erythromelalgia therapy, and can't really describe it like a massage. A massage feels good, but Erythromelalgia is like really getting into the joints, the muscles and everything, and it actually really hurts. So I was telling them about my foot pain, and so they had me go in. Someone did some of the Erythromelalgia therapy on my feet. It hurt so much that I was probably about to cry. And then right after that, they had me go and do a hot-cold treatment on my feet. I'm not sure if this was before or after I thought that it was plantar fasciitis, or if maybe this was when I was starting to doubt that it was plantar fasciitis. I don't know. But so basically the hot-cold treatment was putting my feet in hot water for like a minute or two or something like that, putting my feet in cold water for a minute, back in the hot for 1 minute, back in the cold for 2 minutes or something. It was just like switching back and off. Oh, sorry, I can't even say that right.
Back and forward.
But yeah, whatever. And then after that, the lady that was treating my feet went over to like the massage area and grabbed something. I don't know if it was lidocaine. He's thinking that it was lidocaine. She didn't really tell me what it was. I don't think she really knew exactly what it was. But she rubbed that on my feet. And after the hot cold treatment and if it was lidocaine, oh my gosh, I was like on clouds for 20 minutes, but only 20 minutes. And that was the best my feet have felt. I don't know if it was the hot cold treatment that helped or if it was that rub, but I really think that it was that rub. I've never been able to find it. I can't remember what it looks like. But there is, I guess in researching erythromelalgia, there is one that kind of recommends lidocaine, but I think that's for the other, I guess because there's a few different kinds.
There's a genetic erythromelalgia, which I don't want to give bad advice. Look this up for sure to double check me here. If you take aspirin for a certain amount of time, it should help with that one. We tried that with her, it didn't work. So she has what we'll call the other kind, but really it's other kinds, because from what I'm reading, I think what we're discovering is that's just a symptom, what's going on with her feet. Something else is causing it to happen. And what those other things are is what we're in the process of trying to rule out. But back to the lidocaine, there was a time where we tried putting like this tube of lidocaine. I got it from like a tattoo person. They put it on your skin, I think after or before. But anyway, we rubbed it into her feet and like for 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
It helped a little bit, but not as much as what she's describing. That was more rigorous, I guess you could say, geared toward her feet. So that worked.
I would also like to note that if you have erythromelalgia, even though cold water helps relieve the pain, what we're discovering is that if you go and do a cold bath on your feet, it can actually damage the nerves more.
Yes.
Is that kind of something where they were saying that if you have to work your way slowly into cold, or is that, I'm just like thinking of something else?
They don't want you to develop a reliance on it. If you, I don't know, like say you gotta run in 30 minutes, maybe it would benefit you in that rare occasion to like submerge your feet in ice or something like that, and then you can do that with a little less pain going into it. But it's not something you want to do on a daily basis, or even I would say like weekly, because every time you do it, you're in a way damaging your nervous system on your feet, and you don't want to do that. And it's not just ice water cooling the feet, it could just be like sleeping with a fan on your feet too. That could in the long term damage your nerves. So all those things at least, are band-aids. They're not cures for it. They're just, we should use them delicately and when to use them to alleviate your symptoms temporarily.
So now, and I honestly hadn't seen a doctor in like years, but I am seeing a doctor now, telling her about my feet and everything. So she has me currently doing an elimination diet to see if there's anything that I had been eating that might be causing this burning sensation. So I'm literally having to do strictly meat and water. No seasonings. I can do salt with it, but I can't have any other kinds of food groups. No gluten, no sugar, no dairy, no eggs. Probably plenty of other food groups that I don't even know how to name all of them.
Yeah, so it's basically just fat, animal protein, water, minerals that you need, electrolytes, and salt. That's literally it. We're being pretty strict to it too. We are using a lard to cook all this in, and that lard does have like 2 preservatives in it. They're inorganic though. They're not coming from the earth essentially. So we can't really be more strict than that though. You know, she's pretty rigorous about this, I would say. And so far,
at first it seemed like my feet were actually hurting more. I've been on it seems like forever, but
a week and a half.
Yeah, it's only been a week and a half. So the first few days were kind of hard because it just felt like my feet were hurting much more and faster. And there's definitely times where it's debilitating and I have to, go and sit down, even if I'm like working and, I work at a retail store. We have to work out truck and stuff like that, but sometimes I can't help them. I have to go in the office and I have to sit down for a little while. I was a little bit worried that maybe it was making it worse. I don't know now, because it feels better now. My feet are still hurting, just maybe not as severe. I actually don't know if that's because this week I haven't worked as much, or if it's because of the diet. I guess I'll know next week because my schedule will go back to normal, but hopefully it's because of the diet and that it's helping. And slowly, after a little bit, I think I have to do it for, I gotta try to do it for like 3 to 4 weeks. And then I can start trying to introduce other food groups and stuff. I believe I'd like to try dairy as my next one, and I can try and keep everyone updated on anything like that, how that affects me.
Yeah, we'll let y'all know, if there's anything to this. But a while back, I told y'all to remember what is your base number and why that number is important. And this is why. So everything that we've done up until this point, the base always stayed the same. The peak, her highest, the worst pain she experienced throughout that time of day, that we've been able to alleviate. I mean, you can submerge your feet in ice. You can not go to work. You can rest all day, and your peak's going to be lower. But the base was always still a 3. For the first time, outside of swimming, you say it was a 2 today?
Today, yeah.
It was a 2. And to me, that means a lot, because there's something about what we're doing that finally is dropping that base, and that's what we want. That's how you cure things. You're trying to drop it to 0 ideally, but man, living with a 2 over a 3 or a 1, that'd be a whole lot better. So we'll let you know though if it's a fluke or not. But I mean, even just not working before, it was still always a 3. So yes, she's working less, but that's happened before too, and it still was always a 3. But for some reason, it's a 2 now.
Yeah. So I think, goal-wise, I'd like to get rid of this entirely. Goal-wise, I'd like to be able to wear my shoes and not feel burning. They hurt more in my shoes, and I actually like other girls go and they go shoe shopping and they get to have all these like cute shoes and stuff. I can't. I always have to have just like tennis shoes, or on Sunday I decide I'm gonna deal with the pain and wear these wedges or something like that. But I always have to wear or bring a backup pair of shoes that I know I'll be like somewhat okay on, at least my average pain, and switch them out after church or something if the wedges are hurting my feet too much. So
I want to cure it. I don't agree with modern medicine a lot of the time, because they go into this stuff trying to figure out how to make the most money possible, and it's like they never even ruled out that this stuff can be cured. So I encourage you to not give up on curing it. Whatever effort you can put into the cause, put it towards finding a cure, because we haven't ruled that out yet. It seems like there's what we do know about this. It seems like everyone's just trying to alleviate symptoms, and that's great, and fine and dandy for the meantime, but we should be trying to figure out how to cure it.
We don't have cats. I'm selling cat treats.
Where in your feet is this burning sensation?
Pretty much all over.
The top too?
Well, no, not the top, but the whole bottom, pretty much.
The toes?
Not so much the toes, but like mainly the places where you put most of your pressure. So I guess similar to plantar fasciitis, it would be like the heel, but it's not just the heel, it's the rest of the foot as well. There are some times when most of the pain is in the heel. Today, I guess I noted that it was the heel and like the outer side of my foot that hurt the most, but it's still the entire bottom of my foot.
From what I can find, what most people say plantar fasciitis is, what it feels like, it's mainly isolated in the heel, and their defining symptom is a sharp stabbing pain in the heel, where it hurts to walk on it. Like when you're not on it, it doesn't hurt, but when you step on it, it hurts more, or it hurts. That's when it hurts, but hers is more like, even if she's not walking on it, it's still always going to be at 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the most possible pain imaginable. It's always at least a 3.
And plantar fasciitis, you'll get heel spurs. I don't get heel spurs, and a heel spur feels like a very like rigid little rock that if you were to put it in the heel part of your shoe and step on it, that's what it would feel like. I have had a heel spur one time in my life, long time ago. I don't remember what my foot pain was at that time, but that's the only heel spur that I've ever had. It only lasted 20 seconds to a minute, maybe, something like that. And I've never had one since. But from what I read about plantar fasciitis is that it's a pretty common thing. Also, plantar fasciitis, I don't know if you mentioned this or not, the pain is intermittent.
Yeah.
And mine is chronic. It's constant.
So if you're with someone who has erythromelalgia, or the symptoms that she's having, what are some things that they can do to help you?
Well, he carries me like to and from the car, stuff like that. And
I like carrying her. It helps her.
he'll put me in a shopping cart when we go to the store so that I don't have to walk.
Yeah, push her around wherever the shopping cart. Get out of the car. First thing you do before she gets out of the car, go get a shopping cart, carry her in there. It helps your feet, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
they would hurt more. So I do those things for her.
I think that's,
Those are the 2 big ones.
yeah.
I always am conscious, if I see like we're gonna walk a long way, I'll offer to carry her. And then, even the selection of places that we go, if it involves a lot of walking, going uphill, running, I keep that in mind. I try to avoid it for her sake.
It is kind of a bummer because I do like going out places. I do like going for walks. I love hiking. If my friends are deciding to go hiking one weekend, I kind of decide, you know what, I'm gonna put up with it this day and I'm gonna go hiking. So I'll make, I guess, what is that? I'll kind of choose, I guess, when I'm willing to put up with the pain and stuff like that. Hiking would definitely be one of them. You look like you've been headless for this entire video. But yeah, so stuff like that, I'm willing to put up with the pain. I think we went for a walk around the neighborhood several months ago now, and I think I got to a point where I just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. We got to go back to the house. And I actually felt like my feet weren't hurting that much prior to going, but then after a little while, it started hurting a little too much, and I couldn't deal with it. So, and it exhausts you. It really exhausts you. Like Yeah, by the end of the day, like if my feet are really killing me one day, I'm totally miserable the entire day. And I try to stay like upbeat for my employees and stuff like that, but they can all see it.
I can see it. I can see it. Well, that's another thing you can do. You know, they have some sort of job where there's a potential for you to go and help them. I always offer to go help you finish so you can come home and off your feet. Anyway, theory time. Let's talk about some theories. I have theories about what this possibly could be. The fact that you're at a 2 now, you're on a entirely meat-based diet, it could possibly mean that something that she hadn't always been eating could be some sort of trigger for her feet. We don't know what that is yet, and that's why we're doing this elimination diet. So for anyone who has erythromelalgia, I think the first thing that you should do is, obviously first, get the right pair of shoes, and then after that would be elimination diet. Let's see if something you're eating is causing this pain. It could be something so prevalent like sugar or beef or chicken, gluten. We did rule out gluten in her case. She did gluten-free for like a month and it was not that. Although there was a lot of other benefits to doing gluten-free, I would still recommend it. It didn't cure her erythromelalgia.
One of the benefits for me is that I have, I used to get headaches all the time. And after doing gluten-free for a month, I almost never got a headache.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm talking like, it seemed like for more than half of the week, she would have a headache. And man, it's painful to see her like that. So it's really a blessing to see her now, where it's a rare thing for her to get a headache. Okay, so some of the things that we have not ruled out are allergies, like outdoor allergies, animal allergies. She lives with a whole lot of animals, a bird, 2 bunnies, 5 dogs,
3 cats,
and a toddler. So, I don't know. Maybe that could be a thing. To test that, you would have to live here for a certain amount of time just to see if it's something in the air that she's breathing on a daily basis. I don't know. Could be an outdoor allergy that she has. Could be a pollution, maybe from diesel or gasoline. We just don't know. We haven't ruled those things out. So maybe at some point we should go on a resort trip for a month and just see if having fresh air or being away from animals would help. I know in some cases it does, and some people's and other people's diseases and whatnot, that just changing the environment ends up helping them in some way, if not curing them. What else have we not tried? We haven't tried any surgeries. I'm not aware of any surgeries that are actually beneficial to erythromelalgia.
Yeah, there's surgeries for plantar fasciitis, but even if there was surgeries for erythromelalgia, I really want to try everything else before.
That would be last resort.
I hope to never have to have surgery.
I don't do catheters. So for any of you out there that didn't know what this is, I hope that this video helped y'all. Just know that you're not alone, that there's people like us, and there's many others that are trying to get to the bottom of this, trying to bring some truth to it, trying to find out what helps, what doesn't, and ultimately a cure. Whatever you can do to contribute to that, we would be honored. Everyone would be blessed to get that from you. It sucks, but there's hope.
Yes.
Okay, 2 more things. The first is we wanted to rule out deficiencies to see if that was the problem. So we got a full blood panel for her, and everything came back normal except for 3 things. The first is she was low in iron, and then according to the doctor, also low in vitamin B12. It's in the scale, but what our doctor is saying is she'd like it to be higher, and she was low in vitamin D. Those are all very common. Most Americans are low in vitamin D, And then most women are usually have low iron and low vitamin B12 because of their menstrual cycles. So, but this got me thinking, with the diet that she's doing now, the elimination diet that's predominantly eating meat, is it possible that it's working because it fixes these 3 problems, or is it working because it's eliminating something she always ate that causes her feet to hurt? Okay, these are her shoes. They're Brooks. Where'd you get them?
REI?
REI. And is there any inserts in them?
No.
Just for those of y'all who might know where to look for shoes. Okay, here are her feet. To me, they look beautiful. At first glance, I don't think there's anything different about them to my feet. There are some people who have erythromelalgia and their pain is so bad, their burning sensation is so bad that their feet are red, even from the top. But it's really the bottom where you might be able to notice something sometimes. I will say, I think there was one time right after she took off her shoes, we were standing for a while, and her feet did have a little bluish tint to them. I don't think mine have ever had that, so you can look for something like that. Let's look at the bottom. I mean, there's, right where the pressure points are, they're a little red, but you haven't been standing on them. They're just, you've been sitting here for half an hour or more, so I don't know why they would still be red, but to me they look pretty normal.
If you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. And if you'd like to keep up with my journey in trying to cure erythromelalgia, you can subscribe and turn on updates for any future progress.